Welcome back to Greg's Carport. Today we got a beautiful day here in Central Valley of California, so it's time we get this taken care of. When we first got this Explorer, the mice and or rats had gotten to cylinder 1, 2, and 3 spark plug wires, completely chewed through them. So the person who owned this was saying, I don't understand why it doesn't run very well. Well, you're only running on 3 cylinders. Anyway, in the meantime, we've replaced the chewed up wires with some other wires off a different car so that it will actually run and move. But today we're going to put on some original Motorcraft wires, and we're going to replace the spark plugs in it with some Motorcraft plugs. I think this is going to be a good project. I've never worked on this, doing the wires and the plugs, so you're going to learn and I'm going to learn, right? I always tell you, remember, if I can do it, you can do it. So come on over, let me show you what we're going to do.
You stupid car!
So we're back over here at the Explorer, just to give you a real quick idea of what we're doing today. So on the driver's side, we have cylinder 4, 5, and 6. We have the coil which sets up here. You can see the 6 wires attached to the top. So again, 4, 5, and 6, front to back is the driver's side. Cylinders 1, 2, and 3, front to back on the passenger side. This side shouldn't be too bad. We should have good access in here to get to the plugs. On the passenger side, we're going to have to loosen up the alternator because the wires should not be going over the top. We just did that to get it running. The wires are actually supposed to go behind the alternator, and then they make a right turn to go to the plugs. And in order to get to that, we're going to take the top of the air box off and all that tube right there that runs over to the throttle body. Give us nice access to get to those plugs. Trust me, it's not as bad as it seems. Alright, so what we're going to do first is we're going to work here on the driver's side. What we're going to work for is this first wire here. So this is cylinder number 4. You can see it goes down to number 4. Remember I told you 4, 5, and 6. Now, in order to get these off the coil, you see these pinches here at the top? When you pinch those, it releases those little clips at the bottom that holds it on. So you pinch it, pull it up. Okay, there's number 4 wire. Take your hand, come down here, grab the boot. Some of these are easy, some of these are going to be difficult. It gets really hot down here, so these things have a tendency to like to bake themselves onto the plug. You give it a wiggle, pull it off, and there's our first wire. Now I'll show you how we match it up and how we get that plug out. Alright, so what we're going to do is I'm going to use a 6-inch extension. I'm going to come down in through here. You're going to put that on the plug. Now you want to make sure that that goes on the plug and it seats nice and square. You're then going to take your ratchet, attach the ratchet, if we can get it kind of lined up here. Attach your ratchet onto the extension. There she goes. And then we're going to you want to try to keep it's square up against the plug. In other words, you don't want to be cranking on it and you're at a weird angle. So you want to try to keep it as nice and square as you can because you don't want to damage the plug. So remember, we're going to go counterclockwise, lefty-loosey. So let's turn it. There she goes. Once you get it loose enough with the ratchet, you should be able to take the ratchet off and then turn it out with your hand. These plugs I don't think have been in there that long. And just turn them out with your hand until she comes out loose. Now when we put these plugs back in, we're going to put some anti-seize on them. And that'll make sure the next time we have to do this, it'll be nice and easy too. So let's do that. And of course, we drop the plug. Ha! All right, so here's our wires that we got here. 6 wires in the box, WR6096. Let's get these out. And what we'll do is we get these out, we'll lay them out here on the bench because they're different sizes. And so as we go and we change the wires and the plugs on the truck, we can match them up to the size wires that we have. So there's a long one, an even longer one, not by much, but a little bit. An even longer one. Looks like these are the shorter ones here. So we got this one. That might be the shortest one of all. Yeah, and then we got this one here. Those two are the same size. So those two are the same size. Then we've got this short one down here. And these three here, they all vary in size. So like I said, what we do is when we take the old wire off, you simply come over to the bench, you figure out which wire you need. So that would be the shortest one right here. Old and the new. Just like that. Alright, let me show you the plugs. Alright, so as you can see, we actually did find the old plug Motorcraft. The plug itself looks like it's in fairly good condition. The guy whoever did this the last time actually put some anti-seize on it just like he should, and just like we're going to do with ours. So let me go ahead and get the actual new plugs. Yeah, thanks guys for running the chainsaw today. Perfect day for it. Anyway, so here's our new plugs, Motorcraft. As you can see, same plug. Now, everyone's heard about gapping spark plugs. What they're talking about is this space. Do you see that little space right there between those two? That's the gap. That's where the spark jumps across, and that's what ignites the air fuel mixture. Now on the 2006 to 2010 4-liter that they put in the Explorer, they're recommending a 0.052 to a 0.056 for the gap. That can be found under the hood in your owner's manual, or if you can't find it there, you can find it online pretty easily. Now you can see on here, the one that we have is, closest that we have is 0.055. So that's in between the two numbers that Ford gives us. So we're going to go ahead and use that. Now as long as you can put that through those two like that without there being a lot of resistance, that's what you want. See how that goes in there like that? That's what you want. Now we're going to put some anti-seize on here. What this does is it just puts a little bit on these threads like this. You don't have to put a lot, but you put some on the threads like this, and then when you go to put them back in the car, the next time someone has to take these plugs out, it's going to be a lot easier. Now one thing you got to be careful about is this anti-seize is just like a magnet to dust and dirt. So if you drop these between here and the car, it's going to be a mess. So what I'll do a lot of times is I'll put the spark plug back in the box until I get it over to the car. That way, hopefully it's a little bit safer. So let's go back to the car. We've got the wire, we've got the plug. Let me show you how to put that in, and that gets us the first one done. One thing I meant to also mention to you guys on these, so the wires, before we put them on, just like we use anti-seize on the spark plugs, we're going to use this stuff here, dielectric grease. And all this does is it's a clear grease, and you put a little dab inside the spark plug like that on the boot. So when we put the boot on, it kind of lubricates the boot against the spark plug, with the idea being that it's going to be easier to eventually get it off. And we could do the same thing up here. We could just put a little bit in here, a little bit around here, like so. And if you want to, you could take, just a little piece of paper of some sort. Just get it around there like so. And again, the idea is just to get these pieces back on and off easy. All right, so we got the spark plug out of that box. We've got anti-seize on it. We got to kind of fish our way through here. Sorry, my arm's in the way. Hopefully I can get a better shot for you. And we just want to get the spark plug back. Now when you're trying to turn this, So there's where we got it back in there now. So when you're trying to turn this, you want the spark plug to do the work. So you don't want to be going in here gangbusters. You want the spark plug to find the threads. So you don't want to force it. And eventually it'll find the threads and start itself in. Once that happens, you get the ratchet back on it, tighten it up. Alright, so you just want to go ahead and tighten it up. So now we're going clockwise, lefty-loosey. Once the spark plug seats, you'll feel it tighten. And the thing is, don't go overboard. So there we go. Let's get that ratchet out of there and we'll get the plug wire back on. So now we've got our new wire set to go. We got the grease inside. Oop, there we go. And we're just going to set that down on there like that. Nice and tight. We're going to make sure those clips clip down the way they're supposed to. So as you can see, the wire's on there good and tight now, like that. Then we're going to take the other end, fish it down through here. Now, you want to put it on the plug. Okay, and you're going to push it on until you feel a little bit of a click. And that's it. That wire's done. Now all you do is the same thing for the next two wires. Follow the wire to the plug. Take that wire off, take that plug out. New plug in, new wire on. Go to the next one. Now the only thing that we have down here is you can see right here is this little clip, and what this does is it keeps the wires from getting themselves down on the manifolds. But all you have to do is put a flat blade screwdriver in there. Oop, hold on. Give it a twist and it comes loose just like that. And then these wires, you pull the wires out one at a time, put the new one in, put it back in, and then when you're done, you clip this back up. Alright, so go ahead and do the rest of this side, and then I'll meet you on the passenger side. Alright, so how'd you guys do? So I showed you how to do the first one, which was cylinder number 4. And then I told you guys to go ahead and do the other two, which would be these two here. Just do them one at a time, just like I just did. I got the new plugs in, anti-seize. I got the new wires in with grease on the boots and up here on the boots. Got everything in place except for our little clip down here, right there, that holds those wires in place. So as you can see, the wires are here. They're not on the manifolds. They're clear of the manifold, so there's no heat problems or anything like that. The wires actually look closer to the manifold than they really are. All right, now the fun part begins, the passenger side. Get ready. All right, so now what we're going to move on to is getting rid of this air box and all of this here so we can actually get to the plugs down here. What that involves is we're going to loosen up this clamp here with an 8mm. We're going to take off this connection, and open this up. Let's get to it. So this clamp in the back is an 8mm. We're going to put it on there. We're just going to loosen it up. We don't have to go too extreme. We're just loosening it up. We don't want it to fall off. Next, we're going to work on this connection right here. You see this little green tab right here? We're going to pull that green tab up. It's going to loosen this up. We simply slide it off. That's done. For this connection up front, we're going to take this little red tab here, slide it out, and then all you do is you pinch. See this right here? See how that moves? You pinch that down, pull it off. The only thing left we have that's up this way is there's a little connection right here that holds this wire in place. We simply move that out of the way. Easy, right? And then finally on the airbox itself, we have 2 clips. We unclip that one. We unclip that one. All right, let's get it out of here. All right, now that all of this is loose, we can take this out. Now just remember, this is old plastic. It's gotten hot a million times. So just go easy on it. So you want to lift up the airbox, move it out of the way like this. We're going to pull it up. We've already undone this clamp back here. Pull it off. There you go. It's out of the way. So that what you see right there is the belt tensioner, and we got to move that in order to get the belt off of the alternator, because the alternator has to come out of the way for the wires. So you use your 3/8 inch socket, put it in there. You're going to press down, takes the tension off the belt, and we take the belt off of the alternator. Let the tensioner go back without pinching your hand. Take the wrench out. That part's done. Alright, so now you can see, now that we've got this out of the way, we have our plugs down here. You can even see the remnants of the old chewed up wires that are still in here. We've got the serpentine belt off the alternator. Now, since we're not actually going to unplug the alternator, I'm not going to disconnect the battery. If you were going to disconnect the alternator here at these wires, then I would most definitely unplug the battery first. Alright, so we got 3 bolts holding the alternator on. 1 here at the top, 2 at the bottom. So let's go ahead and break those loose. Alright, and let's get these 3 bolts out of here. Alright, we got the 2 bottom bolts out. We got this one loose. As you can see, it's got this wire harness bolt, kind of holds that hole together. But all we're going to do now is just move the alternator out front. So now that we've got the alternator out of the way, I can see that we're missing a part. There's normally a piece of plastic that runs around the corner here, and I'm guessing whoever did the wires last time neglected to put that back in. So you can see the original Motorcraft. Here's the replacement wires we put on it, and then these are the Motorcraft that actually were on the car to begin with. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get rid of these Motorcraft out of the way, and then we'll start working on the replacement blue wires that we put on one at a time and fishing them through where they're supposed to go. Alright, so what we got, so I got the old wires out of the way. You can see here where they were chewed up by the mice. So since we have that one plastic part, like I said, there should be a plastic part that comes around this corner that holds the wires in place. Since we're missing that part, we'll just put them back behind there like the last guy who did the wires had done, and we'll do that. So we're going to start here. Remember I told you passenger side 1, 2, 3 on the cylinders. So let's go ahead, get this number 1 boot off, work it up through here, come back over here. So this is number 1. Take it off. Alright, so let's get number 1 plug out of here. Hopefully there's anti-seize on it. Yep. Alright, let's get this guy out of here. Remember what I told you, when it gets loose enough, just go ahead and take it out by hand. And there it is, number 1 plug. Doesn't look too bad. Alright, let me go get a new plug and a new wire, and we'll get this one set up. Alright, so as you can see, we've got anti-seize on here. Get this spark plug back in place. These ones kind of aim towards the back, so let's see if we can get it in there and get started. There she goes. So we'll do it hand tight, and then we'll put the ratchet on there and tighten it down. Just don't overdo it. You don't need to King Kong them. All right, and we'll put the ratchet on it. Real quick. And then we'll just tighten it down. There she goes. Spark plug's in place. Now we've already got the wire here, but let me show you something about this wire. So for the number one plug that we just put back in, there's this bracket right here above, right? And there's a hole right here. So the number one plug comes through that hole. And since it does that on the number one wire, there's going to be some extra sheathing that's going to protect that spark plug wire from chafing on that metal bracket. Now going back to what I said before, if you do this job and you still got the plastic piece here, what it is it's a plastic piece with a cap on it that keeps the wires nice and neat and separated, similar to what these clips do here, but it goes around the corner. But like I said, somewhere in the last 16 years it got lost. So let's go ahead and get this wire on. So we're going to go ahead and take the boot, which we put some dielectric grease in. We're going to get that boot through this little hole right here, like so, where we have the sheathing set up. Then the wire is going to run back through here. So now we're over in this direction here. We have to go back up behind here, pull it up like this. So you can see we've gone through that first hole. Now we've got this little bracket here, but we'll click the wire in there once we know exactly how much we have left. And now we're up here. We're going to go underneath those two. Once again, we got dielectric grease on it. Put it into place. Snap it down, just like that. They ain't going anywhere. Now we'll come back over here. Take our boot onto the plug, find the connection, and snap it on, just like that. Alright, so we got number one done. We've got that connected. We got the wire running back through here. We got it in this loop, coming around the front, through this hole, into the plug. So we're going to do the same thing for the next one. We're going to unplug the wire. Take the wire back out to here. We're going to take the plug out and then put the plug in, put the wire back on, and we'll get back to you and we'll show you how that is. Alright, so now we got number two done. So we got two fresh wires, got them in the lube, coming around the valve cover. Now for the second one, what I did was I ran the wire behind this bracket that's right here. So number one comes through the bracket, number two goes, and number three will go behind the bracket. And then I've already got the third wire off. Let me get that plug out. Some of you may have noticed this connection back here, that it looks like the mice decided to get to that too. So since we're here, I'm going to go ahead and put on, give this product a try. It's called Permatex Liquid Electrical Tape. And you just put it on like so. Get some more. But the thing is, we have to let it, it's supposed to set for about 10 minutes. And they want you to do a minimum of 2 coats, which is fine. Get some up on that one back there. Some more on this one. And then get both sides. The idea is just to keep this up and running until we have a chance to get those fixed better. Alright, let's let this set for 10 minutes and we'll put on another coat. Alright, so I just went ahead and I put a second coat of the liquid wire on those wires back there. We've got these spark plug wires in, plugs changed. We've got the wires running behind there. They'll then go behind the alternator, which we're about to put back into place. They go over here into this clip, right down there, and then they come across here to the coil tower. And we've already done the other side.
So putting this back together is just doing everything we've already done in reverse. And I'll start with the alternator. Alright, so we got the alternator back in place. All you got to do is just reverse what we did before. We got the 3 bolts tightened back up. I did put anti-seize on those. And we got the serpentine belt back in place. Same thing. Put your ratchet on here. Pull it this way. Put the belt back up. Once you get the belt back on, just make sure it's in all the grooves like it's supposed to be. Alright, let's get the airbox back on. Alright, we got the airbox back into place. Now all we got to do is go ahead and tighten everything back up again. Put those connections back on. So if you remember, this one here in the back is an 8. Let's go ahead and tighten that up. You don't have to go overboard. There we go. You remember this guy here? Goes back in there. Lift up on the green. Slide it over. Let it go. It's back on. This one here, we put that little connection down in there to hold it in place. Snap that back on. Push the red back into place to hold it there. And on the airbox, if you remember, we got those 2 clips. 1 and 2. Let's clean it up. Alright, so there we go. Another day working on the Explorer, and we got some good stuff done today. We got the plugs changed, we got the plug wires changed. It starts up and runs, so I must have done something right. Alright, so listen, on the next video, we're probably going to do a walk around. I told you guys before that we picked up a Chevy Avalanche. Probably going to do a quick walk around on that and let you guys take a look at that. I also got a surprise coming up, a car that I picked up pretty cheap for what it actually is, and I think you guys will enjoy seeing it. Okay, so in the meantime, if you guys liked the video, I hope you guys hit the like button, and most importantly, I hope you guys subscribe, get our numbers up. Anyway, you guys be safe out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, so you guys know the best part of the day. Throw away your trash. Think of all the money we just saved. All done.